I now welcome our senior editor, Mr. Rajneesh, taking us through the journey of APAC Media, followed by Sugandh Vich, assistant editor, APAC Media, who will be further enlightening us upon creating a solution-oriented HR vertical at APAC Media and the way forward. I request you all to welcome them with a big round of applause.
Thank you, and good morning to all of all the ladies and gentlemen here. Warm welcome again on behalf of APAC Media and CXO Media to all the assembled HR leaders from leading organizations across the country and specifically the NCR region in these conference today. As earlier in the introduction, we heard the APAC NextGen HR Summit. This is our first venture into the HR domain in a large scale, and I'm sure with all the HR leaders who are present today in the hall, we will learn a lot of best practices that are being followed in the next gen HR systems, and many of those best practices we can apply back in our organizations. Uh, we will seek to make the sessions as interactive as possible so that the best practices are shared and mutual discussions happen, and so that the impact of learning is the best, and how much of it is applicable in our professional lives. That's ultimately the measure of the success of the conference. Before we embark further on the conference, probably a few words about APAC Media will be pertinent in this occasion. We are a 5+ year old organization, started as APAC News Network. And primarily, though technically we are a media organization, but our aim and vision has always been to create communities, to have an outreach to different communities. The largest focus area among the communities has been governance. And by governance, it's a wide spectrum where we include the administrators, the policymakers, the ministers, the bureaucrats, and the other government decision makers. We include the PSU corporates. So governance has been one large focus area. We have also focused on corporates, primarily from the technology side, the large IT organizations, IT enterprises. Our focus verticals has also been around healthcare, around banking and financial services, around manufacturing. A large part of our focus has been also around education and skilling, which has lots of pertinence even in today's conference. So education and skilling has also been another focus area. So throughout this, our existence of 5 years, 5+ years, as I mentioned, what we have tried to do is one, expand, build, and then expand on it the outreach of these different communities on governance, healthcare, education, skill, BFSI, manufacturing. And more importantly, one is expanding the outreach. We have always tried to get these communities to interact with each other, because we have always believed that through interaction, the not just the evolution of the best practices, but other processes and systems often get fine-tuned through that. And that helps in better improving the productivity and optimizing the experience of all the relevant things that are being, or the practices that are being followed in organizations. Now, coming to HR, what we decided, whichever verticals we have been focusing on, governance, be it enterprise, be it corporates, and be it healthcare, be it education, the focus, ultimately, the focus has always been on the nature and quality of the workforce. Ultimately, without a quality workforce, no organization or no department or nothing would prosper. Not just prosper, even normal functioning would get impacted without a skilled workforce. And to maintain, nurture, and build this skilled workforce for the future, where the relevance of HR comes in. And it's not just the traditional way where HR has been happening. True, some traditions or some things remain constant. Like ultimately, you need to HR, even in the past, today, at present, and even in the future, will always focus on building and nurturing a skilled workforce, retaining the talent, attracting talent, and more importantly, retaining that talent. But having said that, there are a lot of, as the title also mentioned, NextGen HR. A lot of new things have been coming in. One has been obviously technology, which has been all pervasive. So as more and more Gen AI comes in, and AI and other technologies, and HR also needs to leverage many of these technologies, which somehow impacts the dynamics of its working in a large context. That is one important thing. The other important thing is more of a hyper personalization in HR has also come in. So, keeping in mind these things, what we realized is, while till now we have focused on interconnecting the communities, ultimately the HR, the HR constituent of each community, uh, it's a sort of a, we can say, an underlying glue that is common across all these communities. And so when we are connecting the communities without understanding the dynamics and the working and the principles of that underlying HR glue, uh, we won't be able to progress further. Once we have told you about how APAC has evolved and how we plan APAC HR should now evolve, coming more to today's conference, perhaps it would be pertinent if we can play some slides. What I would like to present are certain facts. The discussions around those facts we should be having throughout the day, since you are all the experts. So I would like to leave you with some facts, and around which, through the different panel discussions during the day, we can discuss. So can we have the slides? The first important fact is that in 2025, there is a projected workforce growth. The projection is 9%. And for a hugely populous country like India, and despite all the challenges, we know there are challenges that how much of the workforce actually has the skills, the relevant skills for today's industry. Despite that, 9% is a significantly high number. If we translate that into real actual numbers. So we have to first, before any discussion, keep that in mind, that it will be this amount of workforce that will get included in the overall pie this year itself. The four primarily large sectors where maximum of this growth, and these are typically the more the white collar jobs I'm talking about. There will be a large blue collar influx in manufacturing and other sectors, but largely primarily for the white collar workforce, IT has for more than 2 decades now remained the primary source, the primary vertical where maximum influx has been happening, and it will continue to be so in 2025 itself. The difference is that the nature and the profile of some of those jobs are indeed changing. One surprising at the second spot is retail. And in the next slide, we will show how telecom again has been an old vertical, but again, this we can say is old wine in a new bottle because the profile of jobs in telecom has changed from what it used to be earlier. And BFSI, again, like IT, has forever remained a favorite vertical. That's a highly tech evolved industry, if we can say, after IT itself. And there, the influx of workforce has always been maximum. Okay, so now, primarily in IT sector, as I said, the nature of the jobs are changing. Two areas, two drivers are one, these global capability centers. See, almost any IT company anywhere in the world, be it an American or Western European country, uh, all of them will have large development centers in India. And that's been a fact for a long time. What has been happening is these GCCs, or the global capability centers, the numbers and the nature of the work they do. Earlier, it was more the routine organizational kind of work. Now, the very high skilled, innovative development kind of work are happening in GCCs. And that is one area where large amount of workforce is going in. Multi-cloud adoption is again the business nature of these IT organizations are demanding different kinds of clouds, public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud coming into the environment, and managing that itself is a challenge, and it needs workforce with specific skill sets. So that's another area where it's happening. And so it's a 15% growth in IT in workforce that is expected in 2025 itself. It's followed by retail at 12%, and this is where it becomes very uh, interesting rather. It's more the brick and mortar stores itself, the physical retail shops, where the nature of business or nature of transaction is undergoing a change. It's more a experiential kind of uh, the customers, the consumers in retail are expecting an experiential kind of transaction, if I may say. And when they expect that, the people, the relevant workforce in those retail need to come with different skill sets than what they used to happen traditionally. Traditionally, it was more the customer focus was a primary driver, but now, yes, customer focus remains so, but for experiential learning and to successfully inculcate the dynamics of experiential learning, again needs workforce with different kind of skill sets. So that's coming in retail. And another growth driver has been the expansion of retail in the smaller cities. I mentioned tier 2, tier 3. You can go beyond that to tier 4, 5, beyond the top 15, 20 cities also, where large expansion is coming. And that means those hinterland, they will require workforce typically from their catchment areas. And that's where another area of growth is happening. So 12% retail growth, followed by 11% growth in telecom. Again, as I said, moving away from traditional telecom kind of jobs or telecom kind of work profiles. The focus is on more AI adoption, more 5G, IoT, these kind of technologies, as well as strong focus, skill sets required around cybersecurity, around software-defined network, the NFVs or edge computing, because the nature, the profile of the telecom service providers are changing. This will include your OTT players, this will include your media kind of organizations. A lot of these organizations are coming under the ambit of telecom. And that's the nature
that's the reason for the growth in workforce and workforce with those specific skill sets. So these are the cities, see the large metros, the NCR and Mumbai obviously remain higher, but as you can understand, their numbers are also higher. So if you look at the proportionate growth, beyond these cities is where the maximum growth in HR workforce are expected in this year. So Bangalore also you can call a metro, Kolkata and Hyderabad you can also, Chennai is also a metro. But even relatively tier 2 cities like Coimbatore and Bhubaneswar are coming into the fold in terms of large scale workforce addition. Okay. So if we look at the functional areas, uh, finance and accounting, HR and admin and IT, these are the functions, 3 functions, where maximum growth is expected this year. So finance and accounting, while again, this has been a traditional domain, no organization can function properly without finance and account. But the nature of the job profile is changing. Knowledge of digital tools around finance, around accounting, more and more complex legal compliances are coming, and you need to have expertise in those domains. And sustainability is a mantra which is going around. So you have to be familiar with the sustainability matrices. That's driving. So 8% growth in workforce in the finance and accounting domain itself is expected. Very strangely, and I'm sure all of you would be happy to know that there is a lot of demand to join HR itself, the HR and admin. Again, a reason is it's not just the traditional skill sets, but diversity and all the DEI initiatives, which we call in HR parlance, uh, there are a lot of takers for that, if I may say. Enhancing the employee experience, those softer kind of skill sets, that's also hugely in demand, and that is attracting a large amount of workforce. And more HR tech, the more and more leveraging of technology applications in HR is also attracting a lot of the workforce towards HR itself as a job. And IT at 6% growth remains a key function area. Again, but the nature is changing. More and more people with AI ML skill sets, cloud computing skill sets, cybersecurity professionals, they are more and more. So what this means is just not a slide. Maybe we can have the discussions throughout the day around that. So when these are the popular functional areas, what are the dynamics required to sort of one which earlier was also mentioned, that to attract the relevant talent and to then ensure that they are retained in the organization. So these are the focus innovation areas, specific job edge computing I earlier mentioned. Typically, OTTs is one good example. Netflix will have a server catering to the Indian audience, definitely not in US. It will be somewhere in India. So that's one example. Edge computing is emerging as a major focus area. Quantum applications, lot of applications around scientific innovations require, and cyber security advancements, that's happening almost every day. So that remains a focus area. The jobs which are more and more preferred, or I may say the skill sets required for digital marketing, the traditional methods of marketing might not work always. So more and more digital marketing incorporating social media is in vogue, and that is largely a preferred skill amongst the workforce. Advertisement management, Again, that's a corollary of the marketing principle of an organization, and using analytics in HR itself. That's also a big area, and lot of students with data science knowledge, with knowledge of analytics, are coming into the market. So I would leave you with this slide. These are some of the areas where the key trends, if I may say, HR trends in 2025, specifically with India. And many of these things will be discussed in the panels today. Strategic HR, that remains paramount. Technology adoption, without technology, nothing is functional today. So that becomes hybrid and gig economy. That's a very important thing. We are moving more towards a gig economy while some of the traditional things remain. So that hybrid, and how do you manage that hybrid? And earlier we heard about the work-life balance. The whole concept of work-life balance, I think, has changed after COVID. Uh, while work from home was there, but unlike the developed countries before COVID, the work from home was restricted to certain specific sectors and rather limited in India. But now, uh, work from home is a reality. Whatever you call, I would rather call it work from anywhere. That's the thing. So the future office, even the office premises now, most offices nowadays don't have those fixed positions also. So even when you go to office, you can work anywhere in the office. So it can be the cafeteria, or it can be the, so this work from anywhere concept is driving the employee experience, because the work-life balance, the question of work-life balance itself has undergone a paradigm shift with this new work from anywhere concept. Skills-based hiring, obviously, as HR managers, HR leaders, you understand it better than most, the importance of skills-based hiring. But ultimately, after that, once the person has been recruited, upskilling or cross-skilling is now paramount for the growth of a person in an organization. Without upskilling himself or herself, or gaining some other skill sets, a career growth, a professional career growth is extremely difficult nowadays. Earlier I mentioned, and we definitely have discussions today around that, diversity, inclusion, and equity, DEI initiatives. It's almost hygiene now in the entire HR fraternity. More and more importance, again, that work-life balance being mentioned earlier, on mental health and well-being. And in this new work-life balance situation that has assumed new proportions, employee retention remains a paramount issue. Whatever modern tech, whatever modern concepts are involved, the biggest challenge always remains employee retention, retaining the talent that you really want your organization to prosper. Data-driven HR, yes, the more use of analytics and things, it's no more just a question of intuition happening. It's more insights that are coming from concrete data that are being leveraged. Sustainability, ESG, these are new buzzwords now, and even HR as a key function of an organization has to depend on. Focus on soft skills has always been important. It has assumed even bigger proportions now, and because we know even 10, 15 years back, the IT companies, especially the IT companies who used to send people offshore for on-site things, had to inculcate this sort of neutrality in the behavior of the employees first. So there were a lot of focus on the softer skills, and that has become even more important now. Leadership development, the ultimate goal is not just if the person, the employee does not grow, and that growth is not only in terms of money, but even in terms of assuming leadership proportions, then it's a failure of, I can say, both the employer and the employee, and in turn the HR fraternity, that if it is not able to develop a leadership layer. Financial wellness, again, that's an age-old thing, obviously. Money remains a critical part. But what has changed is it's not just money, but I can say the management of that financial, of the salary. So those innovations in those and the expectations of the Gen Z or the future generations that are getting added to the workforce, that is changing. So we have to remain adapt to those changes, to those adaptations, and legal compliances and other compliances. We need to keep on conforming to them, and that remains a paramount importance now. I will leave it at that and proceed towards the panel discussions, because I'm sure most of you are keen to listen to those panel discussions. But before concluding, again mentioning, as I mentioned earlier, APAC HR plans to interact with your fraternity more and more, and in our mission of interacting between communities, we want to leverage on your fraternity, the HR fraternities, as a key glue which will help interact between these communities, as also connecting, say, I'll give just one example which will illustrate this. Just last week, we did a skills conclave in Bhopal, and we have been doing it across India. We have done in Pune, in Bangalore, in Delhi itself. So what we do in this skills conclave is from the each state at the national level also, each state has these skilling missions or skill departments where different sector skill councils are there. So we connect the policymakers, the administrators, the bureaucrats, then the enterprise users, HR fraternity, who are recruiting the people, and another important constituents, academicians, the chancellors and vice chancellors of universities. So all these three constituents we connect together, bring them together in a same platform, so that the better interaction, connection mechanisms are discussed. So that's just one example. What we intend to do starting from today is bring more and more HR fraternity into the fold. One, build more connection with the fraternity itself, and also leveraging on the fraternity's expertise to connect between different communities. I sincerely hope this will be an harbinger of better things to come in the future, and wishing best of luck to the show. And I'm sure we will learn of many best practices which we can apply in our professional lives. Thank you.